BestBookBits.com brings you The Billionaire Code by Alex Charfen, the 9 levels every entrepreneur must go through to get from startup to true growth and scale. Who is Alex Charfen anyway? Entrepreneur, author, speaker, and coach who has spent 3 decades on the front lines of entrepreneurship and business, and is helping tens of thousands of entrepreneurs with 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses to grow and scale. So the Billionaire Code Matrix. Billionaire Code. It is the 9 levels and the 9 levels of learning, the 9 levels of achievement, the 9 levels you must unlock to go from 0 to a $100 million entrepreneur, the $100 million opportunity. Most of them know they have a $100 million opportunity and they're on their way. They're putting their time, their effort, their energy into focus and into getting things done. They're achieving those things and feeling zero momentum. There's nothing quite as frustrating as putting in time, effort, energy focused, and even spending cash and not moving forward. Here's what the Billionaire Code will unlock for you. I want to take you guys through the Billionaire Code. It's going to be interesting. The Billionaire Code is 9 levels of entrepreneur growth and 9 levels that we all must go through. Whatever level you're on, you're working on everything in the next level. But you also have to have everything prior to that taken care of. Circle the places where you feel like you need to shore up things and get a better foundation in place. This is like gravity. You cannot grow a business without going through every level of the Billionaire Code. You must go through every level. So there's 9 levels. It starts off with the Billionaire Code with somebody in the crowd. Somebody on the crowd raises their hand and says, I want to do more. I want to be more. I want to see if I can make this work. And they become what we call a seeker. Seekers in the United States, there's 16 million people who have seeker businesses. But the 16 million seeker businesses, so of 29 million businesses in the United States, 16 million are below $40,000. And at that seeker level, your time is still dabbling. You're not putting the time in where you really need to. Your fallback question is, how do I stop pressure and noise? And the biggest need for somebody at this level is for them to be sound. They need to have routines and process and structure and be able to set outcomes and take care of themselves. And to graduate from seeker, you have to understand who you want to serve. Should have routines and structure and personal care all down. And if you don't, that's a place to focus. Self-care is a gateway drug to success. Self-care is a gateway drug to success. The more you take care of yourself, the more you lower pressure and noise in your life, and the faster success will come to you. And it's totally counterintuitive for the entrepreneur. Watch. How many of you feel guilty when you exercise self-care? Like going to a chiropractor, you feel guilty getting up and going to get a massage. You feel taking care of yourself, you feel guilty. We have to get over that guilt, because if you don't do it, you hit a brick wall. Understanding who you want to serve. But if we drill down, there are businesses with unclear avatars where you don't really know who you're serving, and it really isn't clear enough. And if we can nail that down, everything in your business will change. It takes belief up front to push against the feelings of guilt or the feelings of I should be spending money all the time somewhere else. And then if you're willing to do it up front, what you'll see is very quickly your business will shift. And the more you take care of yourself, the more you see that continue. It's not just an investment, but it's also making an agreement with yourself that you're going to create a foundation for who you are, not just the business. Who's the most important person in your business? Like, you have to admit the fact that you are the most important person in your business. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're doing a disservice not only to your team, but to every person you serve. Because if you're not connected mind and body, you're not present, you're not aware, and you're not actually there to serve your team and serve your clients. You're going to hurt those people. And it's not just an investment in you, it's an investment in the entire structure in the organization. Alex talks about his friend in New York who was growing a business, and he was in Florida growing and going much faster than me. And I would go up to New York and visit him. And I remember the first time I ever went up, he had an assistant. And while I was in his condo, somebody dropped off his laundry and it was all nicely folded and stuff. And in my mind, I'm like, man, this guy's high maintenance. And I'm like, what a jerk. Somebody needs to do his laundry. Like, I do my own laundry and I have a sense of pride about it. And it took years of that. Like, I would go back to his office and I remember the next time he had like 3 assistants. There was people doing everything for him. And there was a dude who just felt like a butler. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then over time, I'd go back to Florida and like do my own laundry and make my own food and, fight against like how high maintenance he was. And then his business kept exploding. And then I'd take a commercial flight up to see him. We'd take his private jet back to Florida. And I remember like the day when we went on his plane, I flew up to New York and then we went to his office in a cab. We then took a helicopter back to the airport up for him and then took his flight back to Florida. And I'm like, something's starting to sink in here. For him to get from his office to the helicopter to the plane, there's probably 50 people involved. And I remember something clicking for me, like, dude, he's not doing anything hard. And he's walking down the hallway, people are walking up to him, he's signing stuff and making decisions, and there's a whole infrastructure built around him. And I'm thinking back to my house in Florida, where it's like me doing the laundry, and I'm like, something has to change. And when you look at billionaires, billionaires are the tiny little percent of people who will not tolerate 99% of what you will. And they're the tiny little percent of people who will tolerate 1% of what you won't. Let me repeat because this is super important. When you look at billionaires, billionaires are the tiny little percent of people who will not tolerate 99% of what you will. And they are the little tiny percent of people who will tolerate 1% of what you won't. So the faster you understand that equation, the faster you start moving up the billionaire code. Have been taught to feel guilty about wanting anything for ourselves. It's just the society we live in. And so you have to make the leap from, it's not for me, it's for the business and for my community and the people I serve and for my team. So when it comes to entrepreneurs, we don't realize that self-care kind of falls into the same category that things like legal and operations in a country, right? It's the category of things. You want to ignore them until they explode. And then when things explode all of a sudden, oh yeah, I should probably get onto that. You don't want to take care of legal stuff until someone's, stealing your business name or stealing your content or, stealing your clients or something like that. And then you're like, oh man, I should definitely take care of that. Self-care is very much the same way. You don't realize how important it is until you hit burnout. And you're like, oh man, I'm too exhausted to even work in my business anymore. I'm bitter about my business. I hate my business. And then you realize you should be taking care of yourself every single day. So the way that I think about it is when I take care of myself, I'm being proactive in my business and I'm avoiding those explosions. And if it helps, you might shift the word instead of using self-care, which very much directs it towards you. Maybe you use the word high performance. So you're just becoming a high performer in your business. Radical self-care and optimizing whatever you possibly can. Every time you lower pressure and noise in your life, you put more gas in the tank. And every time you lower the noise, it's more you can withstand in the business. When was the last time you spent 60 minutes working with an elite coach on your life blueprint to map out your 1 to 3 years on your journey to success? Right now, I'm opening up my calendar to spend 60 minutes with individuals who follow Best Book Bits to map out your next stage and season in your life through my signature 60-minute life blueprint session. You will get a free copy of my book, Success in 50 Steps. So click the link below to jump on a free 15-minute pre-coaching call now. Back with the summary. And if you're willing to take radical self-care or radical care of yourself, you'll find you do way better in business. And when you look at the most successful people in the world, there's a reason why. Michael Jackson put a hydrobaric chamber in his house. When in the 80s, Michael Jackson put a hydrobaric chamber in his house, it was like the craziest thing. It made national news. It was like, oh, he's so weird. He's got this oxygen chamber and he's trying to live forever. Dave Asprey, the Bulletproof Coffee Man, posted yesterday and he was in his oxygen chamber having just finished his red light rejuvenation, doing an IV, and it's normal. And so there's a reason, because radically taking care of yourself gives you massive dividends. From seeker to starter, 16 million seekers in the United States. Starter is the next level, 40,000 to 100,000. There's 6 million. You're in the top 7 million in the United States. There are 22 million businesses under $100,000 a year. Time is now part-time. The question you're asking at this level is, what is wrong with me? Because you need to grow. And the biggest need is market and avatar clarity. If I look at the most sub $100,000 businesses, they don't have a market. They don't have an avatar. They're trying to do everything for everybody. Still tighten it up, niche it down, and things will get much easier to graduate. Niche it down. You have to start selling consistently. That's it. You get out a seeker. You get past $100,000. You go to a promoter. Promoter's interesting. It's $100,000 to $300,000. That's how many people in $100,000 to $300,000. So annual revenue is $100,000 to $300,000. There's 1.7 million in the United States. I want you guys to see something interesting stuff in the math here. 1.7 million here are at promoter level. Your time is now full time. The question you're asking is, how do I get ahead? The biggest need is to leverage lead generation. You talk to most people at $100,000 to $300,000, they do not have a steady stream of leads coming in yet, or they'd be over 300. So you got to get really clear and get those people coming in over and over again to graduate from promoter. You generate leads and convert consistently. Generate leads and convert consistently. There's a dial in your business, and you can turn up and down to get more people. And if you haven't found that dial yet, you have to find it. You got to find your dial. The next level after promoter, $100,000 to $300,000. This one's exciting. It's where you go from 300 to $1 million. Your time here is overtime. How many of you would agree you're working over? Like you thought you're working hard at 1 to 300, then you break 300 and find this other gear somehow because you have to. Your fallback question is, how do I get further ahead? Because it's still about you. The biggest need is to leverage sales so that you can get out of the sales position and then to graduate. You build systems and process around what you do well. This is why this is such a dangerous level. The reason there's more at one point, or there's a reason there's more at this level than the previous level, is that this is where doctors and attorneys and accountants and professional services companies go to die. They get to somewhere between $300,000 and $1 million, and they never go anywhere. They're just stuck there. The next level after is builder operator, $1 million to $3 million. In the United States, it goes down to 700,000 people. And at this level, your time at 1 to 3 million, you know you have to go from working overtime to aggressively delegating your time. And guys, this is where most people at $1 to $3 million fall down completely. They're not delegating time. In fact, the biggest problem at $1 to $3 million is the technician in you starts grabbing everything and wants to remain a technician. And you will find this tug of war in your head over what should I do and what am I doing? And at $1 to $3 million, your question has to be, how does my team get me ahead? How does my team get me ahead? And I wanted to find this because this is what we're doing at $1 to $3 million, is we are using a team to make us more leveraged. The team's literally leveraging us at $1 to $3 million. They need to help you do more. They need to help you be in more places. They need to help you get more exposure. They need to help you do more of what you do at $1 to $3 million. Far too many people try to skip steps, but at this level, it's them helping you do more. You're making you more productive. Here's the problem with that. You're terrible at asking for help. You're a race car driver, right? Was there anything you could do on the race car other than drive it? So you had to ask for help. Athletes are much better at this than all of us because athletes are used to doing one thing and getting help on everything else. The entrepreneur's dilemma. We need far more help than the average person to reach our full potential. But here's a challenge for us all, is that any request for help leaves us feeling vulnerable and exposed. And it's only through being in a situation where you ask for help over and over and over again that vulnerability feeling and exposure feeling goes away. You grow a business past where you have right now, and you're going to hit a new level of feeling exposed and vulnerable. And every time you hit that new level, you have to adjust how you react to that level. And the reason why these numbers are descending is we get higher and higher on the billionaire code. My belief, there is a ton of viable businesses out there that could go from 10 to 30 to $100 million, but there's not a lot of viable entrepreneurs. Far too many of us want to control everything, keep it inside, not ask for help, and not put in practice what we need to do to change and to graduate. Here, you build a team and you train them to do what you do well. Here's the issue for a lot of entrepreneurs. How many of you have heard the phrase, what got you here won't get you there. That's really polite. That's like the nice way of saying, here's what I'll tell you. What got you here will shred you moving forward. It will kill you. It will have you cortisoled out. Your thyroid will be shot. Your adrenal glands will go away. You'll start putting on weight you can't understand. You won't be able to focus. You'll get brain fog. You'll be tired when you wake up in the morning. It sucks because you will hold any habit or skill and try to go into the next level. If you go from here in builder and you don't leverage sales and you go to 1 million plus, you'll be doing all the sales. It will crush you. It's incredibly painful. If you don't let go, put structure and process in place and move on, that will be what hurts you and your business. Every level of the Billionaire Code is an absolute transition. There is a massive difference between working overtime and aggressively delegating your time. And in the next level, it gets even more dynamic. Let's go to the next level, which is leader. $3 million to $10 million a year. Wow, what a place to be. There's only 300,000 people in the United States. Huge drop, over 50% drop at this. Your time is now. You go from delegating time. Delegating time is hard. Your next step is delegating success. Delegating success. The exposure level goes up exponentially. From delegating time to delegating success, it's exponentially harder. And if you continue to try to delegate time without delegating success, that's what's going to hold you. And delegating success, delegating time and saying, hey, Lucius, I need you to do the thing for me. Delegating success is, Lucius, I need you to get this outcome for me. Is that a massive difference? Huge. And at $3 to $10 million. If you keep trying to drive every outcome, you're going to be the biggest bottleneck in the company at the exponential level. So you must delegate success at this point. Your fallback question now, this is a big shift. The fallback question goes from how does my team get me ahead to how does my team get ahead? It's huge. The shift is absolute. This is one of the biggest shifts in your career as an entrepreneur because the beginning of the Billionaire Code is all about me. You get here to $3 to $10 million. It has to become we in the next level. It becomes about them, and most entrepreneurs can't. Our ego won't let us do it. Our insecurities won't let us do it. We hold ourselves back. We claw and cling into, it's all about me. But we have to make this transition to where it's about your team and where it's about them. And as a leader in the $1 to $3 million company, you can delegate, just delegate time. And here's what that means. At $1 to $3 million, we're going to have you all do a time study. How many of you have done a time study? So you do a time study and you look at what it is you're spending your time on, and then you add up that time, turn it into a job description, and have somebody else do those things. That took time for you. And if you do that aggressively over and over again, you get past $3 million. And then here's what happens. There's this day where you delegating your time isn't enough anymore. You know you have to delegate outcomes. So it goes from saying, hey, I need you to make these calls for me, to I need you to get this dollar volume of sales. I believe that entrepreneurs that get to 3 million regress is that we would not take off the cape. We won't transfer the cape because unless we let somebody else be the hero, unless we delegate the success, the actual success, and give them credit for it, you won't grow past this level in the way that's dynamic. I want it done my way, and I don't want, it's like that's one of the biggest challenges we have. One of the most liberating things I ever did as an entrepreneur was gave up how and just focused on the end result and the outcome. You have to accept the fact that you're going to get to a place where you don't know everything anymore, and when you're at this level, that's one of the biggest realizations you have. Here's the progression. By the way, at $3 to $10 million, you will really, at $1 to $3 million, you will have to come to realization that you don't know everything, right? And then at $3 to $10 million, you have to come to the realization that you really don't know how to do everything. And then at $10 to $30 million, you won't even know everyone who's doing something, like it's 100% change 3 times in a row. So we have to accept up front, get past imposter syndrome. In this level, at leader, you have your biggest need is to scale a team to consistently deliver what you're doing. In the previous level, it was build systems and process around what you do well. Now, if you're scaling the team to do what you do well, a big part of scaling the team is letting go. To graduate this level, you recruit and develop a leadership team. So it's no longer just about a team now. It's about leadership and having a leadership team. Here's what most people are doing at Leading Human Beings. They're doing what we call transactional management. And it's telling people what to do, checking that it got done, and telling them what to do again. It's like the worst way to lead people. It's the worst way to manage. It's the worst way to parent. Like, this sucks. It's transactional. It's exhausting. And you hear it in the language of entrepreneurs. You hear entrepreneurs say stuff like, oh, I'm just always telling my team what to do, and they don't listen. And I have to tell them the same thing over and over again. To go from transactional to transformational, it's almost the same thing. You're just shifting how you do it. Check this out to go. You go from to do to giving people clear outcomes. You give people clear outcomes. You coach success like everyone you know who can do. And as a result, you get leverage results. This is transformational because here's what happens when you let other people on your team drive the outcome. The people on your team get better. The people on your team get better. When you let people on your team create results, the people on your team become more competent. And when you coach success for increasingly better and increasingly competent people, you get better. This is a massive shift in our lives. And when we make this shift, there's no going back. The next level from leader to owner, we get into the $10 million range. So $10 to $30 million, there's only 100,000 in the United States. You have to have a massive level of self-awareness to get to $50 million. And so it's not like most $50 million CEOs are the first ones in the room to admit that they have vulnerabilities. And it's usually the sub $100,000 people that are trying to hide them all. Did you see that? The CEOs doing $50 million a year are the first ones to admit the vulnerabilities, but the people that aren't even making $100,000, they're the ones trying to hide them all. You're just starting out. The faster you're willing to put in out there, the faster it's going to get fixed. In the previous level, you delegate success, which means you tell somebody to get an outcome. In this level, you give up autonomy of time. So at $10 to $30 million, you're now a liability if you're choosing where to spend your time. If you're setting up your own schedule, you're making a massive mistake, because at $10 to $30 million, your leadership team should know far more about what's going on in the company and where you're necessary than you do. So if you're at $10 to $30 million and you're still dictating what you're doing, that is your biggest issue. And the faster you can turn over autonomy of time to your team with rules, with a process, but the faster you can turn over autonomy of time, the faster the business will grow. The fallback question is now, how does my team get further ahead? Because at $10 to $30 million, the only importance you have is helping the team. The biggest value you bring to the company is coaching the team and expanding the team and growing the team. And the biggest need for you to have is scaling communication systems and decision making. Because now you have a far larger population of people where you need to scale your decision making and communication systems so that in this larger population of people, everyone in the company knows where they're going. It's one of the hardest things to do, especially as you grow your business to here, because anybody who's been at $10 to $30 million, you don't even know your whole team. You go from creating first at $1 to $3 million, you need to create that core team, the people that are going to help you get there. Then at $3 to $10 million, you have to create a leadership team. And then at $10 to $30 million, you now have to create a second layer of leadership. So now things get crazy. You're going to be 3 to 4 steps removed from the entry-level people on your team, and multiple layers of leadership is not an easy discipline to create, and that's what gets you to the next level. $300 to $100 million. In the United States, there are only 70,000 of these businesses. Your time is to coach and support your team to maximize their return on time. The fallback question becomes, how do we help others get ahead? Because at this level, you know you can have an impact on your business around you. You should be partnering, you should be doing joint ventures. Your biggest need is scaling, investment management, and tracking systems, because now it's not just about people, it's about money, and it's about resources. It's about making increasingly important decisions with less and less information. And to graduate from this level, you grow your leadership development system. Because moving forward from 30 to 100 million, your biggest resource that you need is leaders. You need leaders that make decisions like your company does. You need leaders who understand your culture. And then we get to the last level, entrepreneur, 100 million plus. There's only 22,393 in the last census in the United States. This is where you can invest and give away leverage time. The fallback question at this level is, because now you get to that legacy place. The biggest need is to scale and build your scale, influence, and contribution, and grow your legacy. Too many entrepreneurs these days are working on legacy projects over here. Build your business, because here's the problem. If you hadn't done anything in business and you're growing a legacy project, no offense, but nobody cares. But if you can go to be successful in business and put money into your legacy project, everyone's going to listen. Now that's up on The Billionaire Code by Alex Chafton. If you want a copy of this summary with the images of the Billionaire Code, click the link to download this. Now remember, I will ask you again, when was the last time you actually took a break, spent 60 minutes with an elite coach working on your life blueprint to map out your 1 to 3 years on your journey to success? Right now I'm opening up my calendar to spend 60 minutes with the individuals who follow Best Book Bits to map out your next stage and season in life through my signature 60-minute life blueprint session. You also get a free copy of my book, Success in 50 Steps. So click the link below to jump on a free 15-minute pre-coaching chat. Thanks for watching and listening. Have yourself an amazing day. Follow the Blueprint Matrix code. And remember, you go from seeker to starter, promoter to builder, operator to leader, owner to investor to entrepreneur. Thanks for watching and listening. Take care. Bye-bye now.